we talked about Skyy Moore, not being able to replicate Tyreek Hill. And so far this season, up and down. As far as people getting on him for not being, like some of these other rookie receivers who come out just right away, they're the guy. It's kind of taking some time, so many weapons over there. And then this past weekend, with being down JuJu, being down Hardman, and then Tony going down during the game, Skyy Moore came up big, and Mahomes went to him on two crucial third downs in that game. And that just shows trust. And stuff that we talked about him not having trust in Skyy Moore earlier on in the season, where he went to him and I think he threw an interception. Actually, 2 plays where he threw an interception to when targeting Skyy Moore. Sunday night came up huge. So my question is, even when Hardman and Tony come back, do you think that Skyy Moore has earned himself more time in rotation, in getting more snaps, even when those two guys do return?
I think so. So my take on that is like, I try to imagine a new guy coming in and play with. I won't put Patrick up with Michael Jordan, but just for instance, just describing the situation, coming in and play with Michael Jordan, greatness, won rings, expectations of others. Like, what do I have to do to make him happy? I'm nervous for one because this is considered the best player to me. Yet I have a job to do to help my team win and to satisfy his expectations. I don't know if the pressure gets to him, and all of a sudden it's like you bring him in, he's not creating the plays when Patrick breaks out of the pocket to help the phenomenal passes or plays that Pat creates of what our offense is accustomed to. Then you try to find a place to put him with special teams, and now he's fumbling the ball. He's not the return guy specialist that you thought that you get. Plus, you're trying to create a position for him because he wasn't able to fit in or to beat out other receivers. So since you draft him so high, you got to find a place to put him on the field. And so it's always like, I don't know if it's like all the bad talk that he's been hearing. It's like, okay, I'm a second round pick. What is it? He's second round pick?
Second.
For a reason. Mm-hmm. I know I'm talented. I have all this talent. Let me go and play my game. If Patrick isn't happy and Patrick can't find a way to get me the ball, then that's on me. If I got to go out and play my game, beat my guy in coverage, Patrick's going to find me. But I just got to go out and be confident in my game and get through my game. So, and I noticed he's got that confidence now, and it's like it's just a whole different player out there. I was at the game when they played Tennessee, and the first punt, Skyy runs out there, and I'm in the stands, and I hear a lot of the people like, "No, why is he back there?" Like, no, like I can imagine, like, especially like when I play, like, there's fans that didn't like me, they want me out there, but just being that player and having to hear like people don't want you out there on the field, that's tough. Like, yeah, the coaches want you out there. The coaches know what you have. They know the potential that they drafted. And so give this kid a chance. Let him go out there and fulfill his season and go out there and do what these coaches drafted him to do. Don't sit there and make him, any worse, feel any worse than he's already done for it. Whether it was a fumble that he dropped on a punt, whether it was a tip interception that he caused Patrick to have. You got to, keep these guys in the game, keep them in tune to where they can continue making plays. And I love what he did last week.
Yeah, I think sometimes when opportunity presents itself, you don't quite know what you have until that you definitely have an opportunity. And we wouldn't have known that unless, you have Tony down, you have JuJu down, and you have Hardman down, right? And I was saying this before that I don't think his development, it takes time. Like he said earlier, man, like NFL is all about patience. When you're developing young players, it's all about patience with certain guys. And so they knew as far as like him coming around his development, it was going to just take a matter of time. But now he had this, the opportunity, he showed what you can do. But it's the same thing, like almost like Palmer when I'm looking over it. I'm just going back to, how the Chargers deal with it. Mike Williams and Keenan Allen come in, they're the number ones. They're going to be the starters when they come back. So when JuJu comes back, he's going to be the guy, right? When Hartman come back, they're going to have him in. Tony come back, they're going to have him in. Skyy Moore, without his doubt, has earned, the opportunity to get more balls. And I think more to the point is the team and the coaches understand they can depend on him too, right? I think it took a game like this to show exactly look, this is the reason we drafted this guy. This guy is still a solid route runner. He's got great hands. He can catch the football and he can compete. And that's a really good feeling to have, knowing that you have that confidence in a young guy like him. And so will that take away from other guys' looks? I don't know. We don't know that. But we do know we have a solid receiver in Skyy Moore, right? That we know he can do those things. So it's not really that that to me is something that's going to take away from it. I think Patrick in itself too, he knows as well. It's but Pat talked about it. Pat talked about how solid of a receiver he was. And so we don't get to see it because all the other guys was in there, and you could see a guy like that. Like you said, man, he's returning punts. He's not the best punt returner. It's probably better guys on the team that could return the punts. I think that's the reason you brought Tony in, so he can do that, right? So I mean, that was where they was filling him in at the moment, but that wasn't his forte, right? But he's going to be a solid receiver, man, from years to come. I think we got a good pick in him in the second round.
I agree.
What did you guys think about Collinsworth comparing him to Julian Edelman? Do you see that kind of comparison?
He said what?
Julian is a special type of tech. He's a nickel type player. I can't do that.
You hear me say that? He said what?
Yeah. You know what? To me, no knock on my boy. This is one of my dogs. Skyy has the potential to be a Dante Hall. We first got Dante. Dante didn't do the things that he ended up doing with his career.
No.
And come to figure out, he's great at special teams, kickoff returns, punt returns. Then ended up being a great slot player. I think Skyy has potential to become something like that. He's not going to be a Dante Hall. Right. I think he has potential to have somewhat of a career like that.
Yeah, he's a possession receiver. I learned this from Vern. Vern was like, man, you got to watch. You can't use one guy to another guy's in the same sentence. Let's not compare him to Edelman just yet. Let's not do that.
No, you can't do that.
Yeah. Right. I know Chris Collinsworth's be coming out his tail sometimes with some of the things he be saying. But he does have some potential. I think he's a good possession receiver. He's a guy that can work in the slot, no doubt about it, can get open. He's got great hands. He can catch the football really well. He's got range in catching the football. That's another thing. So, they talked about his strength. He has really sneaky strength. They was talking about him running routes, pushing on guys, and stuff like that. So he's like I said before, man. We know we got a solid pick in him for what he did the last game. So what was his number? So he was 5 for 63. That's what he got. 5 for 63. So he had 6 targets. That's a great day. That's a great day for Skyy Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are crucial 5 catches.
Yes, sir. Moment, so. That's right.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw the all-22 view of the that catch he had where he kind of went back for the ball and he dove for it, and it kind of from the far view it looked like the ball bounced on the turf, but he
never touched the ground. I like that.
I got it from you.
That play, if you look at it, that wasn't the route he was supposed to run. I mean, because Pacheco broke out, rolled out, and then the play kind of broke up. So Skyy comes perfectly back to the ball, and that's something that earlier on in the game Mahomes was pissed off about. MVS not redirecting on one of the routes they showed in the game where he was like, dude, go upfield. We're that's a rookie kind of adjusting on the fly in a game in a situation like that. MVS played with Rodgers, Skyy Moore's first go round, and he's adjusting on the fly to Mahomes, and Mahomes is trusting him on those third downs. And
one of the things that's so unfair to a DB. So we get in 7-on-7s or even 1-on-1s. And they usually try to put a clock as to when the quarterback should release the ball, right?
Yeah.
That's not the NFL. And I don't know if Skyy being a first-year guy, having this clock in his head, okay, the ball's going to be released at this point. Like, my route is already run. Do I look back and block or what? No, you're playing with one of the greatest creators there is. So if your route is done, you what is it called?
Run and get open. Scramble drill.
Yeah.
Scramble drill, man. Scramble drill.
You got to find a way to get another route in and get the ball. Because, Patrick is rarely going to take sacks, but he's always going to find a way to make a play. So, and you don't never know when you can be a part of that play. So, yeah, just because your route is done and you think that clock is done, play is not over.
Yeah, and I can see that's the frustrating part. Like you said, having to cover something like that all the time, right? So you could get into the on a basic or whatever, come back and go deep. All of a sudden they run around on the other side of the field. And boy, that is you could tell that right there is exhausting just to do that in itself.
Hey, a playbook is about that thick. I don't know if you see my bottom hand, but it's about as thick as my head. But every route is the same. You get nine routes, right, JD? It's a 9-route tree.
Pretty much. About 15 if you do like the whips and all of that, though. Yeah.
So, but technically, there's a 9-route tree.
Mm-hmm.
Ins, outs, ins and out.
Yeah.
That's what we study as DBs. Now, yes, you can set up 3 receivers, 2 tight ends, running backs. So that's when you get creative as an offensive coordinator to try to throw. You still throw the same 9 routes. But when you break out of these routes or when you do double moves, excuse my language, you fucked up a lot with the DBs because we're so tuned into what we run at practice and what we see on these sheets to where we don't practice a whole lot of double moves because that's not within a playbook. But we have to get a couple run every practice. And I guarantee you, if you run those every practice, it's going to be success for the offense or it's going to be a pass interference.
Yeah, but we got those plays in the book, man. But like you said, those double moves, that is tough. Yeah. Jukes, oh yeah. It's like jukes, whips, out and up, circus routes. Yeah, we got all those in it. You know what I'm saying? All those in the playbook, what we would do, I tell like our
max
offense
protection. So you bring in 2 tight ends?
Those are max
not
on max.
So you can't run a double move when you got all out blitz. It's not gonna happen.
No, you gotta come out. You gotta come out your break now. This guy is getting open right now. You know what I'm saying? You gotta win at the line of scrimmage, right off the line. You know what I'm saying? I think, and kind of talking about Skyy Moore and MVS, 2 totally guys are 2 different skill sets. Look, I don't think I'm saying anything controversial here, but I think Skyy Moore has better hands than MVS. That's me. I think a lot of people will probably say that. Would you say, Eddie? Would you agree with me on that one?
I mean, I think he's going to be all right. I'm not going to sit there and worry about if McCole or Tony will be ready for next week, knowing that Skyy had his moment to step up and prove himself. So if his number's called, I know we can count on it.
Right. Well, what I was saying, I guess what I was kind of saying about that is where, we know MVS is a straight runner, right? He's that speed guy. He's gonna get deep on the ball. He's gonna go for the deep routes.
Oh,
where Skyy has
Scam.
He has a little bit more in his bag. You know what I'm saying? I think he has a little bit better hands. We're talking about Skyy Moore, who was without a doubt in the mix with the rest of the first rounders of he could have been a first round pick. We know it got, there was a lot of teams looking at Skyy Moore for a first round pick because he was type of possession receiver. Thing was because of where he played, the competition, there was all those things. It was not how big he was, all those things. But man, we know, look, the guy played, when he came and he made that catch, when he came up, he knew he made the catch. He knew he made that catch. And so I think that's what, like, when Patrick is back there and he's looking for a guy, he can trust that Skyy Moore is going to catch the football. I think that's one thing he don't have to worry about is if I throw the ball to this guy, he ain't going to drop it. And I'm not saying anything against the guys last year, okay? But I don't know, he was necessarily trusting those guys' hands all last year. There was a lot of balls beating him up in the chest. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole lot of that. Skyy's out here catching this rock outside of his frame. So,
I mean, I think we had last year was probably 7 drop balls that turned into interceptions for on Patrick.
Something like that.
Seven more.
How many? It was a lot.
It was a lot. I forgot the number, but it was a lot. I think it was the most ever for a quarterback.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Just bad luck, bad bounces.
Yeah.
beat him up, ball. Yeah. Beat him up, ball.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get podcasts.